Hello, I'm Jeffrey Pedinera.
And I'm Jessica Guzman.
And you're listening to Film Q, and today we have a guest. Introduce yourself, Kennisha.
I'm Kennisha.
You don't have to say much more than that if you don't want to. she is our special female guest to give some nice estrogen-fueled perspective on Magic Mike XXL, which is probably the worst way of putting it. I'm sorry. But first, I think I just wanted to talk about something he'd seen this week.
Just quickly, I believe it was Canada Day, where I finally ended up watching that new dog movie, Max.
Dog movie?
It's a stupid dog. It's a stupid movie. It's last episode we talked, and you said that you had read it was good.
I had heard some inklings that it might be better than
what people expected.
Yeah.
No. I don't trust that person's opinion.
Andres Guzman, his poster. No.
I went in with low expectations, and it was still bad. Mm-hmm. And that's all I want to talk about.
That's it? That's all you want?
That's it. Yeah, I just wanted to brief.
That's your in-depth review of Max?
Yeah,
I don't think you even said the name. It was Max, right?
It was bad. Avoid it.
Okay. Other than that, I don't think we have any amendments this week. Finally.
Took us a while.
So let's just get right into it. Magic Mike XXL. Actually, first, before we get into that movie, I want to talk about the time I watched the first movie, because I think it's a nice little story and kind of highlights the way I think the general populace looks at these films. So I was watching the first movie, Magic Mike, with my mom and my sister. And we were just sitting quietly the whole movie, I'm enjoying it, but they don't know. Credits roll, and they turn to me, he's like, "So Jeff, what did you think?" And I'm like, "Oh, I loved it, it was great." And all simultaneously like, "What? Why?" I'm like, "'Cause it's a great movie, right?" And yeah, I could just tell from their probing eyes, they're wondering, is this when he comes out of the closet? Like, no. That's what people don't realize, is that the first movie, even though Soderbergh was clearly using those dance scenes to explore the reaction from the female and gay community, because he was going to make Behind the Candelabra right after, that movie is also very much just a dark examination of drug addiction and a seedier world. I almost found it autobiographical from his exit from Hollywood, right? Because he was in the show business and he's doing all this stuff that maybe he doesn't want to do, or he feels like he's compromising himself. And so finally he retires to go do what he wants to do, right? Like with Mike, it's the carpentry or whatever. But with Soderbergh, it's making films in his own way.
That's something like I find very weird and also fascinating that I never expected, was that both Magic Mike and Magic Mike XXL are not just stripping movies, but they're actually deep and not only well made, but incredible movies.
Mind, but what I love about XXL especially, because XXL is the movie that people thought the first one was, you know what I mean? It kind of gets rid of all that darkness. Yeah. And it's much more about the joy of achieving or the female pleasure as a goal. You know what I mean? So what I love about this movie especially is how it has things on its mind, but it's the number one thing that it's concerned with is just, and it becomes a very specific point in an earlier scene in the convenience store, and then later in the final dance off is, the goal is just to get a woman to smile, right? And that's what I love about this movie. Kennisha, your thought?
Did you smile?
Were you smiling by the end? Did it win you over?
More than enough. I just found that interesting, though, that it was geared towards female pleasure, and that was a big theme, female respect and empowerment. Yet a lot of females didn't like it. Like, I felt like in a way it was a little deceptive in its marketing in terms of because I think a lot of women went into this movie just expecting just
wall to wall,
like naked, naked guys everywhere, every single moment. And then when they actually started talking about their lives, and they're like, "What is this? What is this nonsense?"
We had people in our theater like screaming like
Oh yeah,
just stuff. It was great. There was like audience participation almost.
Oh yeah, we had the same thing in my theater. There were people like cheering, they're like yes and everything, and I was just like,
There was,
during one of those slower talking scenes, you hear one lady from the front row like, "Why aren't they naked?" It's funny though, because like the way I was thinking about it, like on the bus ride home, and like what I was happy about this movie is that they finally made a big blockbuster movie, a good big blockbuster movie geared towards women, right? And their wants and desires and stuff. Contrast to all the Marvel dudes like going to see their latest superhero movie, and they're all buzzing afterwards talking about like, oh, nudging their girlfriend, that's a Thanos, he's whatever, right? And so fuck, I forgot my point.
Well, even after we left like the theater and we walked out, and it was like there was just a huge crowd of women just talking about the movie, and there's like going on. Also, I believe that the crowd was for the lineup for their washroom. Meanwhile, we just like went in and there was nobody in ours.
I don't understand what takes so long.
But it's funny because you said that they were, at least the women you talked to, were disappointed in the lack of dancing. Which, and I get, in a sense, I felt that too, that I'm like, that there's not as much as I thought there'd be.
Yeah.
But I feel now we're getting into like movie 101 or kind of thing, where a lot of those talking scenes kind of set up so that the final dance scene works even more, you know?
Well,
even it's establishing its thematic concerns.
Even when Mike has like his first real dancing at I don't remember Rome's like club name.
Fuck, I can't remember what it's called.
But even like then, like they're kind of like edging him on, like come on, and it's like that build up, like even though he's kind of dance here and there throughout the film, like that's his first one where he's like that's it, I'm back, sort of thing. So it's like whole build up.
You remind me of what my point is with the whole connection to the Marvel movie thing. Is that a lot of complaints you'll hear coming out of those movies? Oh, there was like not enough big fighting or whatever, right? Because a movie doesn't work if it's wall to wall one thing, right? If it's noise. Look at the Transformers movies; they're just wall to wall noise and they're awful. So what this movie does is it knows you want that huge dancing scene, all that dancing stuff, but it's slowly getting there. It's teasing you, like you were going to talk about the first pony sequence.
Oh yeah. I think I'm one of those people who like never really heard the song before I watched the first one.
Same.
So like from now on, every single time I hear the song, I kind of accompany it to the film, and I always think of like Channing Tatum and him dancing. I can't hear the song any other way.
Pretty much.
But like early on when he sends
to hear the song any other way.
When he sends like his coworker home and he's like starting to work, and he's listening to Spotify, and then the song plays, and there's that moment where he has like that helmet on, and it kind of has like a little design on it that looks like he's smirking. And there's like, as the song starts to play, he just kind of, and like, for us, the audience, just like all the women just started cheering and going like crazy.
They knew it's funny because I'd seen the first movie, but I don't have that connection to that song where I know exactly what it's from, or like drawing the connection to the first film. So it's just hearing like, or not even hearing, feeling everyone in the crowd just start tighten up.
Yeah, and it was like that was like, that's his theme song, and it's that moment
superhero theme connecting it to the Marvel thing.
When he just stops, looks up, and it like, and with the helmet on, it looks like he's just smirking, and like everybody's screaming.
Audience,
he's screaming, like everyone's screaming for him like to start dancing, and he just shakes his head no, and he's like, nope, not yet. And that's that like audience participation that this movie ended up having so much.
I feel like the audience was very much a character in the sense that we're being addressed, and we are very much the women in the film
represent people who are in the audience.
Camera is always in that audience, right? Because that's us. And as much as they're wooing them, they're wooing us. Do you agree, Kennisha? Because I know it's hard for us to say this because again, we're two dudes, and the movie is very much highlighting the male form in a sense, I guess, in a way a woman could appreciate.
Yeah, I for sure agree. I felt like, even for me and just being in the theater, everyone was participating and just enjoying those moments along with everybody else. And I think that's a really awesome feeling to be in an area with a whole bunch of people you don't know, but yet all still feeling the same thing. And I think that's a really awesome thing. And I think that movie really was able to capture that for a lot.
That's what I love about going to movies is that communal experience, right? When you all watch a movie together, and I had like a genuine emotional moment at the end of this movie because, again, like 95% of our audience was women, and we never see that. It's always just a crowd of dudes, and they're always just in whatever. And so to walk out of that theater and have all these women just fucking buzzing because that room was amped, like there was just shy of fist pumping, right? And that's what I loved about it because you never see this, and this is what I want every other fucking weekend to be, right? A movie's for fucking everybody. Even what I love about this movie is that it's not pedantic in the way it services even by broadening the diversity aspect. Because the first movie is very white because all the dancers are white. It doesn't really.
Well, there was still the guy from CSI Miami. He was in it too. Still.
What? I don't watch CSI Miami. I don't know.
But he was in the first movie.
I don't remember this at all. But anyway, he's one guy compared to this movie where it brings in that whole Rome's whole I don't know what you would call it, like a clubhouse, whatever.
That subscription based pleasure thing.
I agree. They completely did a lot better with diversity in this one. So much better. And
even Mike has his black counterpart in the dude, and it's never about conflict. It's never about like one-upping each other. The very final scene, and almost what I felt like was an homage to Duck Soup and the mirror gag, is they're just mirror opposites of each other, but they're both centered on the one goal of just pleasing the women in the chair.
I find it kind of a little surprised, but I'm looking up like how much money it made on the weekend.
Didn't it kill? I actually read that like the reason I said 95 earlier because as I read that 95% of the audience was women.
Yeah,
and that's
amazing. It still made less than 12 million this weekend.
Really? I have no idea about box office.
This weekend was like usually it's or at least the past few weeks with Jurassic World had been killing it time and time and time again. It was way higher before, but this weekend's really low. But like Jurassic World's at 30 for the weekend, and Magic Mike only has 11, and it's in the 4th place after that shitty Terminator movie.
Yeah, but that's like after 2 days, and also I feel like this is a movie that's gonna have legs because this is a movie that I feel a lot of people are gonna watch multiple times. Even the last movie, when I was working at this office before, the lead lady there, she was a lady, and that was the summer that Magic Mike came out, and I heard her talking with all the other ladies in the office, just being like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go watch it again," because
I'm not against it.
I'd go again.
I'll go again.
That movie is just ultimately, I don't want to feel like I'm overstating the feminist angle here, but ultimately, what that movie is about people coming to be better people, right? Because even the dudes have their arcs about doing what you want to do, right? It's in the dance movies. It's not doing what someone assigned to you. It's doing what you want to do. And that's what ultimately makes you a better person.
Which is like super great moment when Big Dick Richie starts
great name by the way.
Like starts dancing to a 9 Inch Nails song.
Oh God, that's what how was that song never used before?
You lost your shit next to me. I was dying.
It was amazing. I love that song, and it's the perfect song.
Because it also works perfectly because it was like that nice little sweet song. Was it the Bruno Mars song, right?
Oh, the one with Donald Glover singing.
Yeah, that Donald Glover was singing. He's like, I want to marry you, and it's just like everything's so
sweet. If we're gonna
talk
about me swooning, I'm gonna talk about you swooning over Donald Glover.
Which scene?
I did too. As soon as I saw him, I was like, my heart, I can't.
When they do the pan and he's on top of the stairs, I was just like, yes. What are you going to do?
Don't do that hand motion. I don't want to think about that, Andres. Actually, Donald Glover is. Because I don't, we've been praising this film completely, but the one question I actually have for you, because this is where I felt like I needed your perspective, because it's the one place I'm not sure if the movie gets completely right, is where I felt like the movie's pandering in a good way, in the sense it does pandering good but there was instances where I felt it was almost too strongly, like kind of, it was almost preachy in the sense that with Donald Glover's character especially, he's saying how you just gotta ask them what they want, blah blah blah, or all these guys are not paying attention to them, and I almost felt like, was that maybe too strong? I'm trying to
Too
articulate.
heavy-handed?
Not heavy-handed, but in the sense that it's almost telling women what they want instead of extrapolating that from some actual, like, I'm trying to word this in a way that's understandable. It's almost like a Drake song in the sense that, like, girl, I know you better than you know yourself kind of thing, right? And that's offensive to me. But I don't know. Am I way off base here?
So essentially, you think the movie is...
Not the movie, because I think the movie is on the right side most of the time. It's just with
yeah.
Donald Glover's character,
Just Gambino's freestyle moments.
It gets a little too much into, girl, I know you and I know the trouble you're going through. I can help kind of thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's the one part I feel it's landing not exactly correctly. But then again, that could just be me because I'm a dude. But that's why I wanted to ask you about that.
I see where you're coming from with that. I do think, though, I felt like it was still the question of ask her what she wants and then she will tell you. It's not like he was saying...
I know what you want.
Yeah. So I think it was still... He was still saying... Yeah, I get what you're saying because he was still saying, like, this is what I could do for women type thing. But in the end, I still think it was open. It was still open question, like...
It was more about communication.
Yeah. Like, what... men are communicating properly with the women in their lives and they end up dissatisfied. So how can you, as a guy,
remedy that?
Yeah.
Right.
And just straight up being like, what do you want?
I think I'm with her because, like, I'm
not saying
there was
it was just the one moment where
it was either
I wasn't totally on board.
It was either a scene before or after where they even, like, they bring up and they're like it's not that hard to, like, kind of find out what they want. Like, you just have to sit down and listen, and that's kind of what that scene it plays out like. Yeah,
it ties into the whole idea that I've said. The movie is about everyone basically becoming better people, which is all awesome in that final shot where it's just everyone happy, right?
Yeah.
And that communal thing that you tied into Ocean's 13, and that's what I love about it, is that the movie, what a lot of men are going to miss is that it's not just for women. It's also, I wrote down here, it's a manual for being a better human being, right? Man or woman kind of thing. It's also it comes down to communication. Yeah, like you said, it's asking what they want.
It's also like doing things that you want to do. Like, every one of those dancers have their own ideas, whether they're ridiculous or grounded. They're all their own wants.
They're not. The movie never laughs at them for their ideas. It's like, just do it, man.
Yeah. And even,
it's gonna be hard, but you do it.
Even
which I think resonates deeply with Soderbergh. He was a hero of mine, so I'm gonna be bringing up his, like, name all the time. By the way, it would have been super easy for the movie to be to want it to be so that they're going on this one last trip so they can make money to start their stuff like it's just like one last gig so they can make a bunch of money and quit, sort of thing. But there's no scenes where they even pick up the dollar bills that are being thrown at them. Yeah, because I feel... Oh, sorry, you're going to say?
I just... For me, I felt like, though, that would... Because even Donald Glover's character said at one point in the car, if he even ended up being where he wanted to be, he'd still do it on the side. So it was obvious that it wasn't completely about the money for them. And that they did generally enjoy what they did. So I feel like if they were just like, okay, we're just doing this now because we need to jumpstart our other careers, I felt like that wouldn't have worked as well.
Yeah, because it'd be counterintuitive to the theme of the movie, right? If they start picking up the money, you start making it about capitalism or, like, greed or personal gain, right? Doing all these things for personal gain, but the movie is about ultimately satisfying the people around you, right? Like, just joy that's why I keep coming back to that, but that's the ultimate thing, is that being a better person and communicating will just make you happy, and that's the point of the movie.
I think
that's why the money stays on the floor, because money doesn't make you happy.
Back
makes life easier.
Back to the scene with, like,
Please like and subscribe.
back to the scene with like Donald Glover in the car. I think that was my only issue with his character and maybe the movie, where it's just like, and that might be just because how close I follow his work, and it's like that scene was like way too autobiographical for him. So I just kind of like laughed, and I was just like,
it's funny though
that
your
EP
scene
did blow up
specifically.
I know what's gonna happen.
I just recently got into Childish Gambino, so I can't go in as in depth as you can. But it's funny that particular scene is the one that doesn't work for us.
It's just that moment, but then
it's different reasons.
But then it kind of, I think I like it because then it pays off to him like talking about how he feels, and then he says to like Matt Bomer's character, he's like, we're just healers, and that's what like Bomer was calling himself the entire movie, and he just stops and he's like, yes,
I love that. It's so
exactly.
The character work is so good in this movie. What I love about it, there's like no conflict in this movie. There's no external conflict.
There's a little bit, and that's
there's conflict, but it's all character based. It all comes from the fact that all these characters want different things, and the way it clashes in how they want to get it, kind of thing, right?
And the only time it gets acted out on when Mike asks Bomer's character is Ken.
Yeah, Ken.
Yeah,
he's like a Ken doll.
When he asks like Ken to hit him, and he does, and he's like, does that feel better? He's like, no, this is stupid. There's better ways to work this out.
It's like a mission statement for the movie, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what's so great about the movie is that it's all rooted in character, and yet the movie is completely engaging from scene to scene. You're never bored. I know you may want more dancing, but you're never bored in the sense that you don't know what's going on. You don't know what these characters want. It's all very clear, and it's fucking hilarious. What's his name? Joe Manganiello?
I'm not sure.
Manganiello.
Recently, I kind of forgot, but he played Flash Thompson
in Spider-Man. I read that, but I can't put a face.
I watched a YouTube clip earlier when they first have that first fight when he gets like the spider sense. I was just like, you're a lot different.
Yeah, but I mean, his whole scene in the convenience store is.
Perfect.
It's perfect because he's not just to add the extra layer. They're all tripping on Molly, which is amazing because they're so amped.
That scene reminded me a lot of like 21 and 22 Jump Street though.
Oh,
just because I see Tatum like being high, and I'm just like,
oh yeah,
I was like, oh, that's the first. Those are great moments.
It's Tatum is probably the best, the funniest actor working right now who can fake being high. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like his scenes in 21 Jump Street were hilarious, and then in this, where he's not even doing anything particularly special. He's just put so much energy into what he's doing. It's amazing.
But the fact like he walks in and he's like kind of unsure about it.
Yeah.
And then the Backstreet Boys song starts.
Sweet. He's so sweet.
And the Backstreet Boys song starts, and I was just like, I remember I was just like, this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
Serious props to that actress though for keeping a straight face.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do it.
Which reminds me, that was my favorite movie in my favorite moment during the movie is as soon as she smiled, the whole crowd went crazy. I'm like, yes, it's perfect. It ties back into that thing that we're the audience. Like,
and it's not just like this, like when the clerk was happy, but it was also like the rest of the dancers lost their shit as well. They're just like, yeah, you did it.
And that's, I think, ties back into, I'm going to bring it up, Soderbergh's genius, is that he serves the scenes, and he's never gets in the way of himself, because he could do some stylish shit or whatever, but it's always very grounded. It's always very rooted in the emotional moment. So, as Peter Andrews, which I won that bet. He thought he was going to get credit as Steven Soderbergh, but he's credited as Peter Andrews.
You should explain more about that for people.
Yes. For people who don't know, Soderbergh usually shoots and edits his own movies. But because he can't really put himself down as both, because I think they have to hire through the union. Yeah. So because he can't put his name down as cinematographer and editor, he usually goes by a pseudonym. His cinematographer pseudonym is Peter Andrews, and as his editor, he's Marianne Bernard. So in this movie, he had served as cinematographer and editor, but he was also producing, but his longtime partner, Gregory Jacobs, was directing. So we had a bet going where I just thought because he wasn't directing, he was going to get credit as Soderbergh, but I knew.
we were trying to figure out who we thought that he might use one of his names for like the cinematographer or the editor. So I was like, I think he's gonna be editing as Marianne Bernard, and he's going to shoot under Steven Soderbergh. Okay. And he's like, no,
Yeah,
Peter Andrews and Marianne Bernard. And then I was enjoying the movie, but at the same time, like within the first 5 minutes, I was just like, where's the title sequence so I can find out?
There's no opening credits.
I was just like, where's the title sequence so I can find out if I won this bet or lost it?
It was a suspense movie for you the whole time.
The entire movie I was just like, God damn it, I think I lost.
Bust out your wallet, Andres.
We didn't even finish what it was about. It was just like, I bet. That's it.
Yeah, it was just a bet. It was bragging rights. The one actually interesting moment I felt for Peter, as Peter Andrews, was and the only time I ever thought the cinematography may have gone in the way, it was just an interesting choice where he introduces that Zoe character completely in shadow. So when she comes back silhouette later on in the house, I was like, "Who is?"
Same thing happened to me because I was just like, "Who is that?" I was like, I could not remember. I was like, "Why is
he?" They clearly recognize each other.
So I was like, "What's going on there?" I was like, "Is this the girl from the last movie?" I'm like, "No, that's not her." I was like, "What's happening?" And then I realized they mentioned her
New
going
York.
When they mentioned New York, I'm like, oh, so it was that girl.
I read that like somebody, I don't remember who it was, but I know like a reviewer that I was following said that it wasn't until like the final scene that they realized that
was the same girl.
Not only was the same girl, but they thought that the girl was played by Brie Larson. Oh. So they're just like, and then the last sequence, they're just like, who the hell are you? Oh, yeah, wrong actor.
That's fine. Yeah, it's an interesting choice, and I wonder, he must have been aware of that because Soderbergh, I feel, is usually very much aware of his choices.
Also,
so I wonder if
he shoots pretty, like, I think I saw that they shot on the red camera.
Yeah, he shoots digitally.
Yeah, he shoots digitally.
It's just faster for him.
And they have monitors, so he can see what it's doing. It's not like the film where you can't see it until the next day.
And you pray.
Yeah, so that's why I was thinking the same thing where I was like, this is interesting, and I kind of like waited for like a moment where maybe a light will shine and you can actually see both of them. Yeah. Even for a split second, it'll be like, okay, that's smart.
Like it works for a scene, and I wonder if maybe he was using that so that when we do see her in the house, we are thinking like, who is that? She looks familiar, because I felt like that was almost the feeling I got from Channing Tatum's character, and even Kevin Nash's character, Tarzan.
Ernest,
certainly. We learned his name.
I love this
sweet little moment.
I love his character. Like the entire time, it's just like they keep like he just drops little bombs about himself, and they're like, he's like, I haven't felt this nervous since Desert Storm,
and you're like, what? I didn't know
you're just like, oh, how long have we known each other?
Yeah, the movie. Ultimately, the movie is just a great character piece, and that's what's so. It's just centered on male stripping. Speaking of male strippers, I guess, do you have a favorite?
Big Dick Rick.
Yeah. Yes. How about you, Andres?
I don't think I have one.
Just say you have one.
I don't.
Lover.
No, not really.
It's too skinny for you.
You know, I actually like that they end up having him, especially because you have like the entire, like all the other guys were like super buff, and then you have him who wasn't.
Well, Ken's not that buff, but then I feel like they're both.
But Ken's ripped as fuck.
Yeah.
He's like, he's got that Brad Pitt body where he's like, he's thin but he's super toned. I'm gonna have to sit down with my parents again. So there's a spectrum, all right, the Kinsey spectrum. Okay. This movie gave me body issues. I actually, it's funny because I went home, changed out of my work shirt. I looked down, I'm like, oh, yeah, I need to do some sit-ups.
You have
my favorites, Mike. Just chatting.
You guys have like a favorite? Like, what was your favorite final dance performance, or was it yours? Like Big Dick Rick?
No, I like Channing Tatum's.
Yeah, the mirror thing.
Yeah, that was.
It's just like really inspired, and I love. Again, I mentioned Duck Soup. I don't know if either of you have watched that, but there's a very famous gag in that where Groucho Marx, they're two guys break into his house or whatever, and they dress up just like him, but they're trying to not get detected, and he breaks a mirror, goes on the other side, and Groucho Marx looks at it, and then they just start like mirroring each other's moves, right? Because he's trying to catch him off guard. Anyway, it's a famous gag. Look it up, and I don't know if the movie was referencing that in any way, but it's cool that it duck soup was something that came to my mind during Magic Mike. So that might be my favorite, but I really do love Nine Inch Nails and Joe Manganiello's.
Yeah, because
The way it goes from the very sweet like commitment angle to just 50 Shades of Grey done right, and essentially.
Yeah. I saw a movie and yeah.
All right, I guess we can transition now because we're talking about a movie that could be very much be a lot of people's guilty pleasure. So let's start talking about our guiltiest of pleasures. Andres, I'm gonna go last because I have something to say about this.
Are we gonna say them first, or say them and explain?
Say them and explain. Let's hear your reasoning. Defend yourself. You're on the stand. Here, this is the way I'm gonna frame this question. I'm the judge presiding over you who are charged of crimes against cinema. What for liking one specific movie? What is your guiltiest pleasure? And then I will rule.
I'm gonna go with Armageddon.
I need a gavel. Armageddon. Wait, what? Okay,
Yeah.
Explain.
First of all,
Guilty.
you brought up Transformers earlier, and I almost said that I almost wanted to go with the first Transformers, just because like I know 2, 3, and even like
I remember
especially
the first
4.
Transformers working the best.
Yeah,
but
it's definitely the best one, and it's like one of the ones where like I watch it and I'm just like I know this is bad, but like I think Transformers is just like so close to my heart. I grew up with my brother watching the '85 like cartoon movie,
yeah, which is
perfect.
Kind of bad.
No,
It's bad.
it's not
Have
bad.
you seen it recently? It's bad.
I watch it like every 6 months.
Okay.
And it's like
You got the touch. Go on.
I want the soundtrack. And it's just like the same way I feel like with Armageddon, where I don't have to explain why Michael Bay is not a good director.
He's a good director who just doesn't pick projects that are right for him. You know what I mean? Because Pain and Gain is great.
I haven't seen Pain
You
again.
haven't seen Pain and Gain? Okay, that'll convince you. Watch Pain and Gain because that'll be the movie that gets you on Michael Bay's side, I think, because it's very much playing to his strengths in a way.
It's mean, right?
Yeah, it's mean, but it's about stupid characters
It sounds
that
like
he knows are stupid. He's making fun of them.
It sounds like a Michael Bay movie.
And the American flag, because in every fucking Michael Bay movie, there's a fucking American flag in every shot, right? But it's usually jingoistic. But in Pain and Gain, it's almost underscoring the fact that this is America. These idiots are fucking America. This is capitalism. And it works beautifully. You should watch Pain and Gain, because that'll convince you that Michael Bay is a good director who just picks bad projects.
I know J.J. Abrams like worked on the Armageddon script, and this must have been before Abrams made good things, because I think that script is super bad.
I thought you picked it.
I did, but like the script is bad. I was watching some scenes earlier in like preparation for the episode, and like there were parts like I just fucking started laughing. I was just like, this is stupid. These are some stupid ass lines. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I watch a movie like with the opening credits, when it says like directed by whoever, sometimes the director and the editor will kind of like pick some sort of image to like coincide with it.
Yeah.
Whether it means something or not, sometimes it kind of like,
It's not just a random placement.
yeah, I feel like most people, if I would do it, I would kind of like build up to something, at least a nice shot, something.
Something pretty.
In
Have your name
in Armageddon, you have Eddie Griffin's character walking a dog, and at the same time as it says his name, he asks the dog, "Why are you walking so fast? Do you have to take a dump?"
That almost does summarize Michael Bay's
That's
directing style.
That's exactly it. Like I don't know if I have to much explain more. I know growing up it was like always on TV, and even like I had seen it a million times. Every single time it would show up, I would see it, and because I'd seen it so many times, I can just like jump in whenever it is and like know what's going on. And
I haven't seen it in the longest time, so I'm not gonna have much to like support or counter you, but
I'd watch the whole thing.
it is in the Criterion, so it must have something.
I watch like it's 2.5 hours regularly.
Yeah,
That's
2.5 really is fucking long.
Michael Bay films. How long is Pain and Gain?
I think it's like 2 hours, just over 2.
But
But it never feels slow. It's very.
well, Armageddon, you're traveling. It's like,
Yeah, I guess that's the one thing you can say about Michael. I don't know, because Transformers, those are fucking slogs. But anyway, yeah. Keep defending yourself.
But I still watch the whole thing, even when there's like commercials and they take the 2.5 hour movie and they make it to almost 5 hours long. Mm-hmm. And even though I've seen it and I know it's stupid, but like the ending, like the emotional ending of like Bruce Willis sacrificing himself, mm-hmm. I think it gets to me like every time.
Are you choking up right now?
Not right now.
Okay. Kennisha, what's your guiltiest pleasure? You're on the stand.
I know this is gonna be such like a typical answer. I'm gonna go with Twilight.
The Twilight series. Oh, that's a nice tie into female pleasures.
Just go back to Magic Mike, the scene when they make fun of Twilight.
Yeah.
They don't really. Yeah.
They're like about to, and
I just love how the big cathartic moment for that is I fucked Bella. Like, yeah, he's just understating. He's just stating the point.
But like, and then Tarzan just turns around and they're just like, why the hell are they doing this stupid vampire thing? And they're just like, yeah, well the tweens got older,
yeah,
so
they grew up.
And they're just like, oh yeah, that's right, that's cool.
So why Twilight? The movies, right? Or the movies and books.
I guess both.
I've read the books. I've actually read.
Have you read all 4?
Yeah, I've read all 4.
I never finished Eclipse.
No.
So we've actually.
Which one's Eclipse?
The third one. What's the third one?
Is that the one where they get married?
No, they get married in the fourth one.
And
that's when Breaking Dawn.
And Honeymoon is.
Yeah.
The fourth. Okay. What the hell happens in Eclipse?
That one's just like.
That's why I never finished it.
Because Edward leaves in the second one, and then he comes back in Eclipse, and it's basically like Jacob and Edward, just like fighting over Bella, deciding like who's gonna actually get her.
Yeah, it's not.
Is it the one where she has her motorcycle? No, that's the second.
That's the second one.
Okay. Wow, I don't remember anything of Eclipse.
Nobody does.
I read them. Okay. Just when the book started blowing up, and I was like in grade 7 or 8, and so I read them then, and I was like I was an impressionable 13-year-old. Give me a break.
You were the target audience, so
yeah.
Was it? And the first episode was our the first movie thing experience, right?
Oh yeah,
I think I mentioned in the first episode how the first movie I watched in the theater was like Batman and Robin, and up until I was like 14, 16, I thought it was a good movie. So you reading Twilight books and us admitting we've read them too is not like we're not gonna hate you for it.
This ties into what I'm gonna talk about later, but continue.
So basically all my friends were obsessed with it, all of us. So and I think it's more of a nostalgia thing, because I just remember when the first movie came out, all my friends were so excited. We lined up 2 hours before, all of us were there, and it just kind of reminded me of that time of us just being together. And every year since then, we've done the same thing. Opening day, 2 hours before, lining up first of the line, and it's just kind of like, mostly those movies just remind me of that, like that really good time with my friends. And so I watch it now, and I'm just like, this movie is absolutely awful, but I love it anyways.
Okay, I think that's a perfect transition into what I wanted to talk about, which is dog.
My dog needs to stop barking.
Whatever, let's just push on through. Is the fact that I don't believe, even though I'm the one that suggested this question, I don't believe there should be a thing as guilty pleasure. Because you should just, instead of feeling bad about the things you like or whatever, give your reasons why you like it, right? Because this ties into my idea that you should never hate a movie, because every movie has value. And like you said with Twilight, is that because it brought you and your friends together, it was a communal thing, you could go do something together, right? And even Twilight, for all its faults, I felt has some very interesting things going on, like how it ties it almost takes the sex away from vampires, in the sense that it's about abstinence, which I disagree with, but whatever. But I mean, at least it has things on its mind, bungled or not, or however bad the writing or whatever it may be, the direction. A lot of that too with the first movie is that a lot of these producers are cynical as fuck and they're just cash in. But if someone had put the time and effort, you can make them a good movie out of Twilight. But the point is that there's interesting things going on there, so talk about that and not about the fact that fucking Robert Pattinson and what's her name? Kristen Stewart are really fucking wooden in that movie, right? But then they get a bad rap because they're really fucking good in other movies, but they just didn't have the right director on this movie to guide them through these scenes.
It's always upsetting because watching either of them in other movies where they're actually good, and having people like say they're just like, oh, they're good in this movie, like just because they had those bad performances, like otherwise that's the reason why they keep constantly having to push it, be like, no, they're actually good actors, just give them a shot.
People always I never like to say an actor had like is bad because you just never know.
I think we kind of brought up Jack Black last time.
Did we?
Yeah.
I like Jack Black. Anyway, it all depends on who they're working with, the sort of schedule they're on, blah, blah, blah. There's so many factors at play that a bad performance could be any number of things that have nothing to do with the actor, right? But it just ties, this whole idea ties into the fact that I don't feel a quote-unquote bad movie is necessarily objectively bad. You can have your reasons for liking it, and if you can bring a valid discussion, then that's all that matters, right? That said, my guiltiest pleasures were Babe, Pig in the City, and at first you're like, that's like the worst Babe and fucking talking animals, what's going on there? But ultimately that movie is about empathy and like caring about your fellow person, right? And that's like the number one thing I'm concerned about. It's like my number one thematic concern. Then there's also Speed Racer, which I adore, and most people look at that and like, oh, that's like a kaleidoscopic mess. But I think it's filmmaking on a whole other level, right? Because it's how did they describe it? It's like almost film on a strip, right? It never stops going, which ties in perfectly with the character, and it's about becoming who you always were. And there's so much beauty in that movie that gets overlooked because it's so loud and so sugary. You know what I mean? And so, well, this is getting serious. Yeah, ultimately, I feel stand up to your likes and just try to foster a discussion and not shut it down by saying, "Oh, that's just bad." Right? Even like Armageddon, I haven't seen it in a while, but it has a genuine emotional moment, like you said at the end. And it's just a nice encapsulation of the 90s blockbuster ideal, right? Where it might be loud, it might be noisy, but that's kind of what the movies they were making, right? It's a perfect time capsule for the 90s blockbuster scene. Although maybe Independence Day is a better movie. I don't know. I haven't seen that one in a while. But
what do you mean, like better?
Just better constructed, I guess. Roland Emmerich. I watched White House Down recently, and even though it's like a total throwback to that whole movie style of movie making. But it's big, it's dumb, but it's
Emmerich is like really good for guilty pleasures movies because like Independence Day and like The Day After Tomorrow were both on like my honorable mention list.
Day After Tomorrow, did he do that?
Yeah,
I watched that in the theater. Weird, I remember nothing about it except Jake Gyllenhaal's in it, right?
Yeah. Just if it's a disaster movie, just assume Emmerich's behind it. Pretty sure he did 2012 too.
Yeah, so Twilight. I read the books because I wanted to. Whenever there's like a huge craze like that, I usually try to tap into it. Like, why is it connecting with people? And yeah, so I can see why it can connect with those tween age girls because you're at an age where you're like discovering yourself, blah blah blah. And so those books, however misguided their, or even the movies, however misguided their ideology may be, they're very much trying to come to terms with becoming growing up into a more fulfilled woman, I guess. Would you agree? You love those books or movies?
See, there's just too many problems. I don't know if I'd say that in a lot of ways, okay, I could agree that it could be about growing up. At the same time, I feel like I just feel like at the same time the characters weren't developed well enough to be like really having real character development either, and it's just like
Bella is very much a blank slate, which is a sort of a problem because she has no agency in it.
Yeah, but I feel like that's also easier for the reader, which would typically be to
project themselves into.
Yeah,
yeah,
and then that's something.
And again, I'm not saying. Because ultimately, I agree. I feel like those books and movies are flawed. I'm just saying that there's at least something to talk about there, right?
Yeah.
Fuck. What was I gonna say? Yeah. So the characters are fucking awful, and they do horrible things, like fall in love with babies.
It's not like that. That's not what imprinting is. Okay?
Explain to us imprinting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Explain.
Finish this episode by explaining what the hell's going on there.
Imprinting.
I need to know.
When you imprint on someone who is not of age.
I think we have to change this from guilty pleasures. You know what? Guilty pleasure is a very appropriate description of what's going on there. Because you are going to jail.
When you imprint of someone who's really young, the connection isn't necessarily in love. Like, it's not romantic. Yeah. So, if you're talking about Jacob imprinting on Renesmee, okay, let's not talk about that horrible name.
But to be fair to Stephanie Meyer, J.K. Rowling, who's a much better writer, also had Albus Severus Snape or whatever. So, it's okay.
But yeah, basically, with him, he looked at her as a sister, and then guess when she gets older, it'll be more like a friend or then a best friend.
I don't know if that's better.
Remember when you were young and you're like, my sister? Not anymore.
Oh god. Just picture fucking creepy ass Taylor Lautner with an 18 candle cake.
It's time.
Oh god, poor Renesmee.
She doesn't have a choice.
Yeah, she doesn't have a, that's the horrible thing about it. She has no choice in
That's what
this.
you're saying, because like I would feel like Jacob would end up being like a brother / uncle to her, until like it's just like
he's the creepy uncle.
It's like time to get married.
How old are you now?
But it's weird.
He would never ask because he always knows.
He's
2 more years.
Walk into his room, he's got like marks on the wall. It's like, dude.
But it's weird because she ages super fast. So how old is she really? In like 2 weeks, she was like 13. So like,
oh my god.
Yeah.
So getting worse.
What is wrong with you, Taylor Lautner?
That's why he hasn't been getting work. Nobody wants him around his daughter. Nobody wants him around their daughters.
Oh my god. On that note, Jesus Christ, this went weird places.
Anybody I've ever end up meeting and knowing that says they were Team Jacob, they're weird now. It's like you're
if you're Team Jacob, you're Team Pedophile. Let's just put it in blunt terms.
That's the hashtag.
Okay. Maybe Woody Allen imprinted on all those other girls. All right, what's in your film queue? Let's roll past. I want you to edit that out.
You were gonna get rid of the Woody Allen joke? I'm keeping a Woody Allen joke.
Right. What's in your film queue, Andres? Our episodes always end so badly.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be watching a few Criterion films. I want to watch Limelight.
Charlie Chaplin. Always a good one.
I wanted to see some. I forgot the name of the movie, and I usually write it down, but I didn't do it this time.
You have a whole desktop full of it.
Yeah, but I forgot to edit it.
It's okay.
I'm also going to be watching Spider-Man 3.
Oh, in preparation
For the episode. And I'm going to be watching myself, get rid of everybody in the house so I can pause it and take notes, because I'm going to destroy you in that debate.
Okay.
And then I want to see if I can try and watch The Gallows in the theater.
Is that coming out soon?
Yeah.
Comes out Friday.
I have no interest in that. But I don't know.
I like horror movies, so... I like horror movies too much, so it's just like even Insidious 3, which was a bad movie and a bad movie experience.
Horror was how I got into movies, but I don't know. I feel like I've almost grown past them. Which isn't to say like they're beneath me or anything. It's dumb, because I like bloody, gory stuff too. But I don't seek them out as much. Anyway, Kennisha, what are you watching this week?
Selfless is coming out, so I want to see that.
Magic Mike again?
Probably.
I'll be there.
I just stay at the movie theaters all day.
Yeah.
Here again. There's this documentary I wanted to watch for a while, about Scientology, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
Prison of Belief.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I want to see that just because a lot of people have been talking about it
It's
as
an
a religion.
interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting religion / cult.
Yeah.
And I would like to know more about it.
Yeah, that's exactly why.
That isn't from a South Park episode. That's all.
I actually was forgetting the name of the movie. I just had it in my head. No, Good Will Hunting.
Oh.
Yes.
Have you never seen it?
No, I have seen it. It's, just, it's
Oh.
one of my favorites, and I haven't seen it in a while. So I'm like, yeah, that needs to be watched
Yeah,
again.
that's always a good one. Especially.
Have you
Rest in peace, Robin Williams.
Have you seen The Fisher King?
No, not yet.
I saw it like this past week, and I was like,
Blown away.
I typically I've seen a few,
Terry Gilliam.
and he's not for me.
Yeah.
But there was something about The Fisher King where I was just like, even though it's a dark and sad movie, I just had the biggest smile on my face. And I was just like, this is so great. I'm sad, but this is great.
Yeah, I still have to find. I haven't seen Brazil yet, so I feel hopefully that's the one. But I haven't really found the Terry Gilliam movie that has one thing over on him
I didn't
either.
care for Brazil
Uh,
at all.
this. Well, that's a controversial opinion.
Yeah, I know, but
Maybe we'll have to discuss it when I eventually watch it.
borrow it.
I have a lot of movies to watch.
AKA, I'm never watching it.
Yeah, I will watch
If
it.
you turn around in the corner, I have just what I want to watch for the next week, and I'm never gonna get through it. And
You have
it just keeps piling
Watch
up.
Cloud Atlas. I want to have our Wachowski episode.
That's true. I still need to finish Rocky.
Yeah, and I want my movies back. Hold on, I'm starting to forget. I'm getting to that point where I'm forgetting that they were mine.
Yeah.
Kanisha, you got to be my mental note. She has my movies.
Yes, remember that one time you didn't give the movie back every time at work?
Yeah. Yes. All I'll be watching, hopefully Saving Private Ryan sometime this week, like rewatching
Oh,
it.
that's a good one.
It's a great one. I was supposed to watch it yesterday, but Chile won the Copa America, and so my
Yay.
dad was immovable from the television.
Did you watch the game?
Yeah, I actually watched the whole game.
I watched like the last 10 minutes of it.
The penalty kicks?
Yeah, pretty much. Which, I mean, for a game that was 0-0 the entire thing, I'm pretty sure it was a fun game to watch. But I'm like, I'm not upset that I missed the rest of the game.
When you're invested, it's 0-0 is like the most heart-wrenching thing, right? Because one goal, they almost scored in the 90th minute, which Argentina,
That
which
sucked.
would have fucking destroyed my dad.
Sure.
He would have been catatonic. Anyway, so Saving Private Ryan, Ballad of Narayama, if I can get to it. And I've also started the Mad Max trilogy finally, so I'll be watching Road Warrior sometime this week too.
I should catch up with you. Well, I've seen the first one now, so I should.
I'll text you. I'm watching now. What's coming out this week on Friday?
Minions, Gallows, and Selfless.
So I won't be at the theater this week.
Yeah.
No,
I
don't know,
might
maybe.
catch Minions. I don't see myself rushing out to see it. I have a friend of the family who like really loves Minions and like Despicable Me.
Yeah.
So like if they end up going and I'm invited,
I might finally use this week to watch
go.
Slow West. Finally, we'll see.
There's a few.
Anyway,
There's also Eden.
next week hopefully will be our big Spider-Man 3 episode, right?
Yeah, next week's gonna be it.
Have you confirmed at all?
Almost.
Oh, okay. Hopefully, if anything, we'll
Stupid
post
work
something. We'll
schedules.
have another episode planned, or maybe we'll take another break. Who knows? But look forward to that, Spider-Man 3. Until then, consider this week's question: what is your guiltiest pleasure? Do you have one? Maybe defend it with all your might. Anyway, I'm Jeffrey Pedernera.
And I'm Andres Guzman.
That was Kennisha. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.